Hey guys, Dan CG here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a SetHome and home system. So basically, this system comes from the days of Java, at least when I played Java. A lot of mods in Java have a feature where you can, in chat, you can type /SetHome, and that will create a spawn point, and then you could then type /home, and you would teleport back to that spawn point. So it was just a way for players to very quickly set a location that they want to go back to whenever they want. So here in Bedrock, we can't do /SetHome with a command like typing it into chat, but this is the next best option. So here, I've renamed paper to /SetHome and home. And now I've created this system here that will basically function as it did in Java, at least as close to as we can get it to in Bedrock. So this system right here will handle the SetHome item. And this system right here will handle the home item. So basically, just to demo the system, when I have SetHome in hand, when I drop it, it will set that exact location to be where I spawn. And you hear a little sound that indicates it just set up and it's all set for your home. And now when you throw home, it just takes you back to your home. And now it makes another sound and you're back home. So the way this works is actually kind of interesting. It's pretty much one of the only ways to do this in Bedrock, but basically it basically kills you. It basically kills your character, but it right before it kills you, it turns keep inventory on, so that way you keep your experience points, all of your everything, all of your items stay on you. But then at the end of the command, it switches the game mode. The game rules back to the way they should be. And yeah, it works really, really nicely. And the best part about this is that it works across dimensions. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. You might not be. But pretty much every teleporting thing you can do in Bedrock doesn't work across dimensions unless you're... like if you select one player's name to teleport to the other player's name, that works. Like, so if someone is in a different dimension, technically you could force them out and teleport from the Nether, say, to the overworld. You could do that, but it's kind of strict on when it allows you to do that. So if you wanted to make a command that lets players teleport to spawn, where you put a specific coordinate in and it teleports the players to that coordinate, that actually does not work across dimensions. What happens if you're in a Nether is if you use that to teleport to your spawn in the overworld, it will actually teleport you to the exact same coordinates of your spawn, but instead in the Nether, which is not what you want at all, actually. So, I don't know. I hope they update this in Bedrock. Right now, this is the way it is in Bedrock. It's really stupid, and there's really not much you can do about it, unfortunately. So, however, the wonderful thing about this system is it doesn't care about that. So you can set your home anywhere you want. You can set your home in the Nether. You can set your home anywhere. And when you do this, because technically what's happening is it's killing you and you're respawning, this works no matter what. This doesn't really count as teleporting. It's not actually teleporting. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, one other detail is, as you can see here, it does not work in creative. You can set your home. You can hear that. But if you try to teleport to home, you'll hear the noise, but nothing happened. The reason nothing happened is because you cannot kill yourself in creative mode. Like, commands cannot kill you when you're in creative mode. So if you're trying to test this and it's not working, that's why. It's because you're in creative mode, or you've entered a command wrong, of course. Okay, so I'm going to go over these really quickly. All you have to do is just pause when you need to. Just make sure you copy everything precisely, and you'll be on your way. So let's do this. All right, so the first command is we're going to set up our SetHome and repeat unconditional always active, no ticks of delay. None of these systems have a tick of delay. I'll tell you if they do. Here's the command. So here is where you're going to input the name of your item. That in this case, I named mine SetHome. It needs to match the item exactly. And of course, if you don't know, you have to rename the item in the anvil. Okay, so that basically sets their spawn at the location of where they are, where the player is. So it works really nicely. Now here, chain conditional always active. And this is just alerting the player that their home is set. Again, it's nice to provide the player with some feedback so they know the command worked, because if you don't have this, and you don't have sound, it seems like nothing happened. There's no way that they can tell anything happened at all by the system. So I think it's really nice to provide some feedback to the player. You don't have to use yellow text. I know this is not available on some Bedrock platforms. Like I don't think you can do this on the PlayStation 4. But anyway, on the other platforms, it's doable. So if you want to look up colored text, just Google it. But that's how I did it. I made it yellow. It doesn't really matter though. And here we're going to play sound at the player to indicate that the system worked and their home has been set. So you type this command. And again, this is another chain conditional. These are all chain conditional until the very top one. Okay. So the top one is chain unconditional, always active. Now the top one is where we kill the item. So that way the item doesn't linger after. So technically speaking, when you use this, the item, you want it to delete right away because you don't want, say you died and this item ended up on the ground, you don't want another player who approaches to then get affected by this item if it stays on the ground. And maybe their spawn will become that spot. Maybe they don't want that to be their spawn. So that's just kind of, you don't want that. So you want this to be unconditional, so it always runs. So basically, no matter what happens, whether or not the commands before it execute properly, this command will always happen. So that item will always be deleted. So if I died right now, all of this item would fall on the ground and instantly be deleted. So it would never affect any other players. Okay, so that's how that works. Okay, now for the SetHome. For going home, the /home command, that's a little bit more complicated because now we need to switch some game rules on and off. And also it depends on what rules you normally play with. So it's not that hard, but here's the first command. Repeat unconditional, always active, no text of delay. And here's the command. So this is where we're going to change keep inventory to true. Now, I mean, most people I would never play with this on normally. This just makes it so when you die, you don't lose anything. Everything you had stays on you, including your experience points. But this game rule is what lets the system work. So we change that to true just for this very second, just for this moment. Okay, now chain conditional, always active. And now we're doing immediate respawn. So we're turning immediate respawn to true. Now, if you already have your server set to immediate respawn, then you don't actually have to include any of the immediate respawn in this code. You can leave that out. If your server's already, or if your server or realm is already set to immediate respawn, you can just don't include this block at all. Just skip it and go to the next block. And then, yeah, same with over here. When we get to the immediate respawn, you can just you can leave that out. So here again, chain conditional, always active. We're going to play sound at the player, just so that it indicates that. I mean, I don't know. It's just feedback, and I like feedback. It's optional. You don't need the sound. In either of these, you don't need the sound. You don't even need the message if you don't want the action bar. You can get rid of that. So technically, this only needs to be 2 commands. But I have it being 4. It doesn't matter. I just like feedback. So that's how I like to do things. Now, chain conditional, always active. Here, we're just gonna. This is when we're actually gonna kill the player. So we're basically executing from the item that we found called home, and we're going to kill that player near there within a range of 3. So just type that all as is. Again, you have to make sure that this matches whatever item you're using for this. Again, I would just name it like this. Make sure you name the paper the identical way. If the paper is not identical, then it won't work. Yeah, so that kills the player, and then now this kills the item. So this is chain unconditional, always active. And again, this is the same reason as before. We want this item to, whether or not the commands execute successfully, we want this item to be deleted no matter what. Because otherwise, if it just lingers on the ground and another player approaches and just sees a bunch of items on the ground, they go near it. And if this item is present still, it will trigger the code, and they don't want that to happen. They will get sent back to their spawn unintentionally. So that's really not good. So that's bad game design. We don't want that. So we want to keep that as unconditional, so it's always running, so it always deletes that item. Okay. And then we have a comparator going off of this block here. Going to any block with a torch. And here is where we're going to change those game rules back to the way they should be. So now we're going to change it back to game rule keep inventory false, and that's impulse unconditional needs redstone. And then now, again, if you want to change immediate respawn back to being off, so false, then you would do chain unconditional always active. Just do chain unconditional because no matter what happens, you want this to turn back to false. Assuming that's what the rule. Assuming you want it disabled. I actually prefer it off. I don't know. I don't die enough to really care, but I prefer it to be off because I don't know. I just do. So yeah, that's how you would do that. Again, you can leave that out, and you can leave that out if you don't. If you already have immediate respawn set to on and you don't want to change that, you just take those out of, and then it's just one command shorter here and over here. Okay, so now some little quality of life things. Technically, the way these systems work, any system in Bedrock that tests for an item that's named a certain thing, the player can just make that item out of anything. So technically, they can name an apple SetHome, and the system will work all the same. The system can't tell if it's a paper or an apple or a diamond sword that's been renamed to /SetHome. So long as it's spelled correctly and identically with like all the capitals and everything, then it will work just the same. But what I like to do, just for the ease of convenience for my players on my server, is I have a chest in the spawn area that just has a bunch of useful things that they can just grab whenever they're near spawn. So here's an example of what you might do. Here, the players can, whenever they want, they can grab more SetHomes and more home paper so that they have more to go, and it just replaces itself. Now this is just very, very simple build, but normally in my spawn in a real gaming environment, I would have this part hidden so they don't see this. This would be like wired so that they don't see this and they would only see one chest. I'd probably even rename the chest and have this one named the same thing. But anyway, so this actually doesn't even have to be a repeater. I don't even know why that's a repeater. That can actually just be redstone. Again, you can wire it however you want. I would wire it so that it's totally hidden. See, that works too. But anyway, this is a trap chest, not a regular chest. And this is also a trap chest. They have to be the same. And here's the command for that. And you just have to change these coordinates right here to the coordinates of the chest right here that's cloning to. So this one is being cloned to this location. So that's what I like to do on my server. Just makes it really easy. And yeah, I believe that is everything I want to talk about with this concept, guys. So again, I'll show it in action one more time. We have we're going to set our home to on top of here, and we're going to teleport back. And here we are. We're back up there. And great. All right. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any comments and ideas for future videos, please let me know. Please like, subscribe, and share, do all that fun stuff. Thanks again, guys, and have a good one.